live from beautiful Bristol. Today was a beautiful day.
Oh boy, it was.
It was such a beautiful day in Bristol.
Yep.
I woke up, I was so glad. So, from beautiful Bristol, Tennessee, braver than the rest, we are back. It has been a 2-week hiatus. Well, our buddy Jared here traveled the world, celebrated his manhood by graduating. Do you call it graduation? What do you call it?
No.
What do you people call it?
Yes.
I mean, it's technically retirement.
Retire. You're too young to. He's too young to retire, but thank you for serving.
Yes.
Absolutely. 21 years I did.
21 years. I don't know. That's some longevity. I don't know too many people that can keep a career for that long, let alone.
I can't fathom that.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I don't count like the last 10 years was reserves.
Yeah.
The first 10 years it was active duty.
Yeah.
And the active duty is you really feel like you're really in it. And I've got a lot of buddies that are still in, and they've been in, 21 years. The reserves it was a different animal kind of, and I can't say that it was my favorite thing to do.
Right.
Especially after being in active duty, because it's just a different ball game, And yeah, it's good to not have to do it anymore.
Now,
and I don't collect my retirement until I'm 60.
Let me ask you a couple questions.
Yeah, because of reserves. If I'd stayed active duty, I'd be getting out right about now, and I'd start collecting my 50% retirement from
Right away.
Okay, it's good. So you're going to be on the podcast for a little bit while longer. That's
Oh yeah,
He's not getting his boat.
I'm
He's
never
not getting the
stopping
boat.
this.
There's no bass boat involved.
No, there's no bass boat involved.
Did you get to keep your stuff? Like, do you get to? You obviously get to keep your greens.
yeah.
Like, I'm talking like, did you bring home some hand grenades or anything?
No. Now, I will say that during one of my deployments, we had some people that came back with hand grenades, and they give you something called an amnesty box, right? An amnesty box is usually in your first part of your port of departure. It's not what we called it, but the first place that you pass through when you come out of a combat zone, they're like, okay, here's the amnesty box. If you've got any ammo, if you've got any hand grenades, smoke grenades, thermite,
Right, anything like this.
Claymores laying around. If you've got any of that stuff, you can put it in here. It's no questions asked.
So it's as long as if it fits.
They make it so that it fits all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay,
you can put hand grenade. Now, hand grenades are another deal. If you walked out of there with a hand grenade,
that's a problem.
That's even the amnesty box. I don't think the amnesty box was really set up for loose ammo.
Okay.
It's not set up for 40 millimeter grenades or hand grenades
like
or
live,
any of that stuff.
right,
Yeah.
Right.
If they find a hand grenade in there, it's going to break
problem.
loose. But we did have some guys that made it all the way back to the U.S. with hand grenades, and there is no amnesty at that point. It's like, okay, you obviously didn't look through your bags.
Right.
And it was a big story like, oh, can you believe that, whichever, I won't say which unit it was. They were like, oh, yeah, they had hand grenade. Guy came back with a hand grenade.
I mean, I've never used a hand grenade, obviously, but I can imagine if the pin somehow gets pulled, that's a big problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be,
that's-
But I mean, you got to think though, like, and I've done this. Who hasn't gone through the airport and been like, oh, I've got to throw my knife away now, right?
Yes.
I actually have a really good story about that.
Okay.
I was deploying, right? This was I forget which deployment it was. I want to say it was my second deployment, I think. And when we'd fly on a plane, it's contracted. They contract like what you'd fly Delta.
Right.
A 3x3 plane or a 3x2x3, whatever it is, or 3x4x3, this big wide plane. They fill it full of troops. And everybody walks on with an M4 carbine or an M249 or a 240 Bravo machine gun. You've got all these armaments, and you literally slide it under your seat. You're not loaded or anything, but you slide it under your seat. So fully armed aircraft. And they took us off the plane in, I want to say it was Maine. And when we got off the plane in Maine, they had to take us outside of security. When we were coming back through, a TSA agent was making us go through the metal detectors.
Oh, well, that's a good idea.
They collected every pocket knife, every Leatherman, like everything. And guys we had all kinds of stuff, seatbelt cutters that they issued us, and all these things strapped on our belts and all this stuff. And they confiscated those things in a box And everybody said, look, this is stupid. I know, but we got to do it because they literally wouldn't let the troops back on the plane to deploy. We got over there and they swiped like 50% of it. TSA swiped like 50% of our stuff.
See, I knew it.
Yep.
And you know, right now, some TSA guy is living large in a $900,000 home.
Watch what I can do with this knife.
Well, and that's the thing is we're like, you realize I've got an M4.
Right.
You know, we've got guys with M203 grenade launchers and 240 Bravo machine guns.
And you're a little concerned about my seatbelt cutter.
And they're worried about my Leatherman. Like, come on, you're gonna jack this.
I'm interested. Because of what I do? What is a Leatherman?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked.
Just from the name of it.
It is the multi-tool. You've seen.
Oh, that's what.
Yeah, just like a multi-tool.
A lot of them.
It's called a Leatherman.
The origins of the
fantastic.
multi-tool was a company called Leatherman, right?
Oh,
And so it's like the dingo.
It's like Kleenex, right? I mean,
It's like a Kleenex.
everything's a Kleenex, but it's
But really, Kleenex is a Kleenex because they came out with Kleenex, so we call everything Kleenex.
Gotcha.
Like you have a Coke,
Yeah.
but really, it's not a Coke. You're getting Pepsi, but you call it a Coke
Yeah.
because,
Cool.
sodas for Minnesotans. So here we go, $900,000.
wow.
Yeah.
Yep. So the story behind this one, for anybody who doesn't know, it always pops up in the wrong window. Come on, get over here where you're supposed to be. So Karmelo Anthony,
Not the Carmelo.
not the Karmelo Anthony,
Be a much bigger story.
right? Presumably named after Karmelo Anthony.
That is a great question.
They did change it up a little bit, though.
They did. They gave it a K.
They gave it a K. Yeah. So
Does he spell it with a C? I don't
he
know.
does.
Yeah, he spells it with a C. This one spells it with a K. So
So this Texas teen accused of stabbing Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet earlier in the month is reportedly holed up in a $900,000 home with his family that they are renting for an estimated $3,500 per month. Jeez. According to the Daily Mail, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony and his family are renting the Frisco home that lies within an exclusive gated community. Anthony was released on a $250,000 bond after it was reduced from $1 million, which is pretty typical for first-degree murder, which is what he's being charged with. And he has to wear an ankle monitor as part of the terms of his release. The Daily Mail went to the home, seeing a white Suburban, a black Acura, and another sedan in the driveway. One resident of the neighborhood said that the family had just purchased a new car. He got a new car. If you look at that license plate, it's got a paper tag and it says expires June 4th. So they were pointing out the fact that, this guy, the father, was saying, well, there's all of these financial woes that they're having. And I can't confirm or deny whether they're having financial woes, but he's saying they're having financial woes. But they posted $250,000 bond. He's had almost $500,000 in GoFundMe.
yes,
Given
there
to
it
him.
is.
And that's the kicker. And according to Brandon Tatum, which if you don't know Officer Tatum, Brandon Tatum, he reported that they apparently the parents have started a merch line to help fund, like they're basically profiting off of this.
what
kid.
exactly does the merch say?
That I don't know.
That's
I bet it says murder was the case they gave me.
Gosh,
That's an old.
That's
Who
an old
was
rap
that?
song.
Yeah. Was it Public Enemy or was it one of those?
Was that Tupac?
No. It was Ice Cube or it was
was
Public Enemy, I think, or one of those. Yeah. Anybody out there know who actually what that line is from? Where I don't want to look. Are you looking it up?
me
Murder
see.
was the case they gave me.
Yeah.
That probably is the line, or maybe like the clothing line is called Murder.
Yeah, I don't know.
mean-
I mean,
Murder Clothing by Karmelo Anthony.
well, and so here's a part of it. It says when the officer at the scene said, and by the way, the person on the right is the one who did it. The person on the left
Snoop
is
Dogg.
Austin, and he
It was
died.
Snoop Dogg.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
Yep.
He's the one who died in the arms of his twin brother because he was stabbed in the heart by the young man on the right, by Karmelo Anthony. And when the officer at the scene said, "I have the alleged suspect in custody," Anthony replied, "I'm not alleged, I did it." So he's admitted to the police officer that he did it, and he later on was saying, "Do you think they'll give me self-defense for it?" The scenario, to kind of wrap a bow around this for everybody, is that it was a track meet. There were tents for specific teams. He sat down in someone else's tent. The young man, Austin Metcalf, said, "Hey, you're in the wrong tent." And the reason they do this apparently is because people have their stuff laying around. You try to keep it tight with like your team and your group,
Yeah.
to keep your stuff, safe. There was an altercation that Carmelo Anthony said, try to touch me, see what happens. Try to make me move, see what happens. Austin Metcalf tried to make him move. Now, the level of aggression, how hard he tried, that's what we don't know, and that's what it's going to come to light. But in response, he pulls out a knife, stabs him in the heart, and kills him.
Yep.
See, I mean, whatever happened to? I remember in high school, like we would go across the street to Lions Park, off the school grounds, because we were smart enough not to do this on school grounds, and then just whoop the snot out of each other if there was a problem, right? And for the guys, it was like, you talk to my girlfriend, and they would fight, and it would be over in 8 minutes.
Right. Nobody brought weapons.
Nobody brought a weapon.
No.
Nobody had cell phones recording it. And the result of that was, though, it'd be over in 8 minutes. The victor and the victim, I don't know what, would end up being cordial.
Yeah.
We're cool. You're the alpha. I get it, but she's still my girlfriend or whatever, like it's, but there's that, whatever happened to just normal, like pecking order. And we have become such a, okay, here we go. We've become such an effeminate society that we can't even do this right.
I don't think that it's effeminate. I think that young people are overly aggressive. They're effeminate in how they fight. If you
That's
watch,
what I mean.
You watch two kids fighting, but in this instance, we get in an altercation, and your first response is to pull out a knife and stab somebody in the heart.
Right. Very reaction.
And the world's response is not like, hey, what was this kid doing in the wrong tent?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I've been to track, I ran track. If one of the opposing team members was in our tent, they were going to get a beat down too, because, what are you doing? Trying to steal from us, right? It would be a problem, depending on their attitude.
Right.
Somebody that has the make me attitude, I'd be like, yeah, go get him, because I'm not going to do it. But I'd be like, you guys, go get him.
Oh, I saw this
right?
too, yeah.
But that, in this case, it's like, oh, everybody's coming to the defense, right?
Yep.
Well, they shouldn't have pushed him out of the tent. They shouldn't have tried to push him out of the tent. It's like, no, he shouldn't have been there in the first place. And he shouldn't have been there with a knife on a school grounds.
Yep.
There's all kinds of things that you go, no. And his attitude, that's the overarching.
Like what? The taking ownership of your actions it's gone.
No, we can't do that. It's not
completely gone.
B. Davis actually made a good point. I think this not enumerates, but illuminates it a bit better, I guess. He said, I get the sense that people are too sensitive and too aggressive. I think that's a good way to put it, because that gets it. What you were talking about, what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yes.
They're effeminate.
They're too sensitive.
Right.
It's like, go beat each other up, but don't cry about it when you lose, and don't kill somebody over it. Like, stop being so incredibly sensitive.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Or beat them like you're to beat them on the track, like beat them at the same
them at their game.
sport that you're.
Yeah.
I mean, that brings more that would bring more satisfaction to me than anything.
Right? Like, let's dance.
Exactly.
Let's have a dance off.
Yeah.
Bring it on. Do you remember that movie?
Yes, I do.
You can bring it.
Bring it on. Wasn't that a cheerleader movie?
Yes, it was a cheerleader movie.
Yeah.
I don't know that you should admit on the internet that you watched that.
Or Drumline. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? You give it to him.
We've kind of gone down the road that I didn't know we were going to go down, but I get what you're saying.
Okay.
It's the competitive, like, use your competitive nature in the sport that you're both at. Like, settle it on the field.
Yeah.
Right,
Or settle it on the track, boys.
Yes.
Get out there and they false start because they got to be first. I mean,
Them in the shins.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
In the Army, we used to say, let's take this to the pit. So, and we had a pit. It was literally a fighting pit where we would do
There you go.
combatives.
And you do your fighting down there, right?
You fight with some rules, but you cheat.
Yeah. I mean, but this is a Tanya Harding move.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? He sliced and diced. He didn't go for the calf or the Achilles. He went right for the heart.
Yeah.
He didn't watch the full Tanya Harding story.
Correct.
If he did, he might have done it differently, but I can't. I mean, I look at this, and what makes me angry is these are the same people that would support BLM. Guess what? that blew up on you, didn't it? All that money you sent to them so they could have their big houses, and now this family's doing the same thing.
Wonder how much of that money that he has received, like GoFundMe and all that stuff. I wonder how much of that was from George Soros somehow.
Oh, that's a good question.
That always crosses my mind. It's like somehow this stuff always leads back to him. The judges that are, getting in front of Trump and saying, "Oh no, you can't do that."
All Soros
always leads back to him.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, I was going to speak to the violent part of this, where it's sensitive, but no respect for authority or right and wrong, that sort of thing. And
Yeah, buddy.
I came across this video, and not that it's
wild.
It's necessarily a direct correlation, but it's much the same. Like this is how they respond to being pulled over by a police officer. It's right to violence. You know what I'm saying? And this guy ends up dying. He ends up getting shot.
yeah,
And I think he was
this dude stole a police car.
Oh, is that what he did?
He stole a police car, and they had to run him down.
He's coming back.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta go down. You ain't That's Jesus, bitch. That's Jesus, bitch.
Wow.
Sorry for the
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
They need a bigger taser.
I mean, what brings about that level of aggression?
Well, Jared, I'm just going to go ahead, and I don't know, but I don't know this at all, but that looks like to me videos that I have seen when people are on some pretty
I was
crazy
gonna say,
drugs.
he might be on something.
Yeah, buddy.
Get down the ground now.
I'll tell you what, I think that cop landed a right hook in there somewhere. Shoot, buddy.
Yeah, I knocked him back, didn't
Good
it?
gosh.
Now he
See, that's the problem is, he's saying, he's basically saying he's doing this in the name of Jesus, which is obviously, we all know, is completely wrong. But there's a video of him when he stole the cop car. There's a video.
Who said that? The guy swinging said he's doing this in the name of Jesus?
Well, he said, "This is Jesus."
Huh.
Female dog. So, that's what he.
Huh.
Yeah, and when he was on top of the officer, he was saying the same thing. And it's like,
No.
no, not quite. He was praying. In the video in the cop car when he stole it, he was praying. On the I guess as he was driving. I saw the video today of the inside of it while he was doing that. It's a very odd, obviously not from God whatsoever, but it's a very odd situation there. So
Yeah, well, clearly something was amiss.
Yep.
Something was wrong.
Yeah.
But I think to your point, Jared, the level of respect for authority in general.
Anything.
And this can come back to the hatred for the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
This is the roots of it, I believe, where it's like, we don't want anybody to tell us what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's actually telling our kids. I mean, some of us are. I am, like, hey, guess what? For the rest of your life, somebody's going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The three of us are married.
Mm-hmm.
I am not the boss. Are you?
No.
Are you?
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right? And so for the rest of your life,
You know what kind of mattress you have, Jared?
somebody, right? But for the rest of your life, and I tell her, I'm the boss too. Like, we're not. It's not like we live under oppression as husbands,
Mm-hmm.
But for the rest of your life, you're gonna have somebody that holds you accountable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so get used to it.
Yeah.
And teach your kids to respect law enforcement. Teach your kids to respect their teachers. Did you guys see the video of the Trump hat wearing kid that got bullied for wearing a Trump hat, and this teacher
Yeah, man.
stood in the gap and said, "Not in my classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Not in my classroom." That's the kind of people that we need
Yeah.
to lead our kids, and the kind of parenting that we need to come back around. And helicopter momming started this. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I don't want Timmy's feelings to get hurt. I don't want I was like, no. See,
like
you're
you don't
setting
understand.
your kid up for failure.
Yes. Yeah. Timmy will be such a stronger person if he, and I'll say this, like, I'm an only child, and I do wish, and my mom's like admitted to this before, but I do wish that I would have been able to learn a little bit on my own about stuff. Because it's, I was only child. I was protected. I mean, it's just like, that's just how it went.
And I don't picture,
I didn't notice it.
I do not picture your parents, your mom as a hover mom.
No.
But just the only child syndrome.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's it.
Let's just start there.
Yeah.
Nobody in your life knocked you down,
Right.
beat you up, scratched you when they didn't get their way. Nobody punched you. I mean, my kids, we can be getting ready for church. They could just roll out of bed. We'd be like, we're going to church. We get up, time to go. They can roll out of bed and beat each other up. By the time they get downstairs, they're already punching. And you're like, hey, it's Happy Sunday. Anybody want cereal? We've got Cinnamon Toast Crunch. What would you like? I don't want that. Jesse's eating that. I want something else because I don't want to be anything like you,
Yes.
And this happens in 15 minutes on a Sunday morning. So if you come from that, you're used to conflict.
There was
You're
no
used to-
chaos. I had no chaos
Yeah,
whatsoever.
We don't even have organized chaos. It's just chaos.
Yeah.
But when you come from that, and you've told stories about your brother and your dad being like,
I've got two. I'm a family of 3 boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and my older brother were like, I'm talking blood.
yeah.
Drew blood.
But there comes a point, and I think, kudos to your dad. Go settle it like men.
Yeah.
Go,
Grab us by
don't
the hair.
kill each other.
His rule was don't fight in the house. You want to fight, you fight in the yard.
Right. And don't kill each other.
yeah.
But there comes a point where the boys are going to get, you're 7 and 11. Nobody can hit hard enough to actually hurt you.
Yeah.
Right. And you're going to be exhausted. Both of you are going to sleep well tonight. One of you might have a fat lip, but you're both going to sleep well.
Yeah.
And so there comes a point where when you have no conflict, you have a hard time resolving conflict. And you have no idea how to do it.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean that as brothers, and I had 2 sisters, which beat me to death. But you have to learn to forgive. You have to learn to navigate feelings. You have to learn to navigate having your feelings hurt constantly. And what that feels like, you're never affirmed. The minute that you do something great, you've got a sibling going, yeah, but
Yeah.
have you ever seen is Saturday Night Live, the One-Upper skit where it's like, I shot a 12-point buck, Oh, really? I shot a 14-point buck yesterday afternoon, on my way home out the window, but I left it there. So it's like you've got the constant one-upping. You can never be good enough. You can never be, and it does kind of set you up for what life is really like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And sadly, we've got a bunch of these kids coming out that are now creating coffee is too expensive. So we're going to do this this is revolutionary. We're going to do this at home.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a good point you made is setting kids up for disappointment, like how to handle disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That when somebody is blowing sunshine up your backside all the time, like the more helicopter parents do, and the participation trophy culture, that's a
big one.
It's
Yep, that's a big deal.
thing where everybody isn't.
Everybody got a
you're
trophy.
enough just like you are. And
We don't keep score.
4th place is just as good as 1st place. No, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not. And so when you get yourself kind of knocked into line by whether it's sports or by parents in particular saying, do better, that's something the kids don't get anymore.
No,
they don't, because
and what's sad is you can say, your kid, you can be whatever you want. I want to be an astronaut. Okay. You really can't be an astronaut, though, right? You don't have the smarts until you see,
I can be anything.
until you see Katy Perry, and until you see, this group of women going up into space for 20 minutes or whatever it was. Like, yeah, I guess if you make enough money, you can be. Not one of them. I mean, the collection of them aren't smart enough to go.
Yeah.
But if they have enough money, they can do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's
well, recognizing strengths and weaknesses, kids have to know that sort of stuff. And I'll be honest that even as the middle kid, I was, out of a lot of loops, but in a lot of ways, I got some of that when I was growing up, and it was a really useful awakening when I kind of got out on my own, and because it never seemed quite right to me that hey, you're fourth place. I was terrible at baseball. It's like your whatever 7th place trophy at T-ball. Oh, you got a trophy. I'm like, this doesn't seem right.
Not fair.
This isn't-
exactly.
I know you're saying it is, but this isn't as good as that one over there. That one's a lot bigger, and I really want that
Yes.
one.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That sort of thing. So yeah, well,
Well, and middle child. I'm a middle child too.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and so we have people feel sorry for the middle. They're forgotten. Don't feel sorry for the middles. We see everything. We might be forgotten, so to speak, because everything revolves around the older and the youngest.
Y'all soak everything in.
well, and the older one gets to do everything. The little one's the baby.
Yep.
So you're kind of stuck in.
You're kind of left to your own vices.
You get to adulthood a lot quicker.
Yeah. Well, because you're doing your own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, I think you're right though. We have gotten as a society to a place where everything is so incredibly toxic, sensitive. And you see it through, by and large, suburban white women, right? This is where you see it the most.
Yeah.
Is just in the fact that the vote didn't go the way they want, right? That they're going to do whatever they can to disrupt, which is very little.
Yeah.
Trump tariffs, and they have a clue about that stuff. But it is by and large the suburban white woman, college educated,
Yeah.
that is all about the emotional ties to everything.
I think didn't we show on here where CNN on their big board
Yes.
on the very last, everything had changed Trump's way except for suburban white college educated women.
I could probably find that.
Yeah.
And the guy at CNN, he was just like, listen, I'm just going to be honest. I mean, he's doing phenomenal. He said, except with this group, but he's never done well with that group.
Right.
So that doesn't matter, but it's always this little holdout right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of that is they fall back on because he said,
Oh, yeah.
grab them by the whatever. And it's like, but then you sit back and go, every one of you for
Let's go through what
millions
y'all
and millions
have
of
said.
dollars,
Let's go back and see what y'all have said throughout your life.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
go-
Oh yeah.
let's go
Come
ahead.
on. I'm with you. I get it.
Gosh, I can't find it.
Yeah, it was 3 episodes ago that we had that graph up and showed that statistic, which was really telling how he was doing great with everybody except that demographic in almost everything.
And it was like a 40-point swing. Like
Yeah.
it's a huge change
Yes.
between
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Because it's not educated, it's enlightened.
Yes.
So let's call it what they would call it,
Yeah.
right? It's enlightenment. Thank God, going woke, get you broke now. Thank God men are men and women are women again. Thank God that we can stop playing this game unless you're in Maine or in, the other 4 states now at this point that are struggling with this law. It's just time to get back to common sense.
Yeah. It's amazing that we even have this discussion, to be quite honest with
It
you.
really is. I don't want to waste any more time on it because we've got a lot to unpack and it's already 9:30.
Wow.
We've been gone.
Yeah.
So,
Can I just say I've been looking forward to this since I've been out of town.
buddy, me too.
bet you-
I'm being
Me too.
honest.
I bet.
Golly, and I haven't released anything on my channel in weeks. So
Oh, go ahead, Jared.
this
This is a guy that got deported. This is classic. This is
So, Kilmar Armando Abrejo Garcia, a confirmed member of the violent MS-13 gang, was arrested on March 28th, 2019 during a meeting with several high-level MS-13 members in Hyattsville, Maryland, despite repeated claims by Democrats that he had no gang affiliation.
Yep.
So, according to the Prince George's County Police Gang Unit, Abrejo Garcia is a member of MS-13, holds the rank of Chico, I guess. Chico, I don't know how to pronounce that, with the moniker Chele. And he was sent to, I just had this in my, he was sent to El Salvador. So Abrejo later admitted to being an illegal alien from El Salvador. And yet he was deported to not El Salvador, but it was the wrong country, correct?
yeah. That I think is that's what happened. I think that's what happened. He got deported to the wrong country.
let's see. Oh gosh, I just had this up. Okay, so let me read on here. So in April 2019, an immigration judge denied his request for release on bond, citing danger to the community and flight risk. The respondent did not demonstrate to the satisfaction of the immigration judge that his release would not pose a danger to property or persons based on evidence presented, including a validated gang field interview sheet from the Prince George County Police Department and testimony from a proven confidential source. The court finds that the respondent is a verified member of MS-13 gang holding the rank of, I can't pronounce that. Chekwe. Is that what it is?
Yeah, we'll call it that.
And so this guy has, he's been deported. He's from El Salvador, but he got deported too. And I can't remember. I thought I had it in this article here. Well, the left is going absolutely nuts. Like, where is this guy? Bring this guy back home. And they're calling him, what's interesting about this is all the left is calling him a Maryland man.
Yes. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it's
they're putting the USA they're in the minds of the people that are watching them.
correct.
This is a U.S. citizen. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And so this is from Katie Pavlich, and Katie Pavlich, she says in 2019, Prince George County Police gang unit determined Garcia was MS-13. The argument that it's one of the Maryland congressmen that says they're going to go and bring him back to America.
Okay. Good luck with that one.
You can't deport an American citizen. Well, now the evidence has come out that no, he is in fact an illegal immigrant, not supposed to be here. And the question arose, what happens when we deport somebody to the wrong place? If it is this guy, I might have gotten these stories mixed up. I hope I didn't, for the sake of the viewers. But should we really care?
I think to some extent, listen, I had this, was I telling one of you guys maybe even, I had this discussion with my father. He's upset.
Okay.
These people are not getting due process. They are not getting due process. And I'm like, well, what do you think that due process should be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they need to find out, they've already deported people wrongly. Like people that I'm like, well, okay, but if they're an illegal, they're breaking the law and they should go back, right? Do you agree with that? Well, no, they need, they need their chance at asylum and everything else. I said, okay, what about if it's a gang member? Well, people can change.
Are you serious?
And I said, but I mean, it's true. And in my heart, I was like, you know what? You're right. I wasn't always great. Jesus saved me. Mm-hmm. And thank you, Lord, that I'm not who I was, right? And anybody that believes in Christ can say that. Mm-hmm. My response to the believer that is, they can change, then there's a giant prison in El Salvador that is just waiting for you to go and share the gospel of Jesus with these guys, right? If your heart breaks for them, then go share the gospel with them.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I don't want my kid to go to a gas pump and see a credit card in there laced with fentanyl.
There we go. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm,
It happened locally here.
It's kind of one of those like,
really? Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things you just sit back and go, yeah, I don't know that I understand grace and mercy and it should be extended to them. Absolutely. It should be. However, there's also consequences, and the wages of sin is death, right? So you can sit back and say all you want how we've just got the gospel and the love message so all-encompassing that we can't see the forest for the trees in some capacities, right? Where you go, yes, Christ is love, but Christ also is a God of protection.
Yeah.
He's a God of justice. He's a God that commanded walls go up.
Yeah.
He's a God. You know what I'm saying?
When we say grace and mercy, they think that, like you said, they think that that means, oh, well then he doesn't let there be any consequences for actions.
No,
that's false.
That's false.
That's false.
That is unequivocally false, right? That you are due your thank you. You're due your consequences.
Yeah.
And everybody has them. And so you can be a God-fearing, Bible-toting, Christ-loving Christian that is stuck with something in your life that is sinful. You're going to pay the consequences for that sin, whether you love Jesus or not. Doesn't matter. You're going to pay the consequences for that. Now, does it mean you're going to hell? No. You're redeemed. You're saved. You're forgiven. All the things. But if you've got a porn addiction and your marriage ends because of it, well, it kind of is what it is. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean you're going to hell. Doesn't mean it means.
Or if you struggle with alcohol, get in a car, drunk drive, kill somebody, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, unless the left has their way, you probably shouldn't go to jail. You should be redeemed, right? Forgiven. We should give you another chance.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry. This is again coming back to common sense legislation. This is coming back to common sense, America first. And I know that is not the Christian thing to say or do. Right? There's a lot of Christians that take it too far, and there's some that don't take it far enough. You got to kind of come in the middle here. We serve a God that builds nations.
Yeah.
Right? He is concerned about America. And the only reason that his hand hasn't completely lifted is because people are praying. Okay? I firmly believe that. I don't know how much longer that's going to last as we allow people to come in. Like you look at the UK, a Christian nation that is not a Christian nation anymore, and they're trying to legislate away Easter. They're trying to legislate away, right? So you've got to be very careful because it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Accepting what isn't really acceptable.
Well, and it's not to sound like a Marxist, because I'm obviously not, but it is about the collective security of
You Marxist.
right? If you're saying we're gonna, because and people like to hold that against Christian folks, saying, "Oh, you're supposed to be the ones." They'll say Jesus was the original lefty. He was was la-di-da-di, everybody, that sort of thing, and he did for us to voluntarily accept him and all of that. However, it's not about opening up your border and making your own citizens less safe, putting them in danger involuntarily.
Right.
That is not a moral action.
Right.
And I think, in fact, it's the exact opposite. And when it comes to people that are suffering, we as a nation, if we're not secure and we aren't prosperous and we aren't able to be the most generous nation in the world, because
it's going to be by far worse.
Yeah, it's by far worse for la-di-da-di everybody.
That's right.
So it's destructive to the fabric of a country that's been the most generous, and we can't be if our people don't feel safe. Because we saw that nation building in other countries where we always say we got a nation build, we're going to nation build, and we're terrible at it. But what's the first thing you've got to have before you can build schools or you can start, entrepreneurs and security?
Gay puppets.
Well, yeah, apparently, I guess if you ask USAID, that's what you need.
No, too soon.
You need transgender tap dancing.
Right. You've got to have gay puppets. But you can't build a nation without gay puppets.
But you have to have security. That's
Yes.
it. And if they can degrade it in the United States and make it bad enough here, then you're also affecting the prosperity of.
I think the big problem is too for the lefty Christian, right? That you got to struggle with and wrestle with. And I'm just going to challenge you. And maybe somebody on Rumble or somewhere wants to jump in on this, but one time in Scripture it says that God is love. Boy, we have built the entire kingdom mission around that statement, haven't we? Love God, love people, because God loves people. He does. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. But one time it says God is love. In one verse, it says that he's holy, holy, holy. And so what we've done is we've focused on the love aspect because we don't understand the holiness part. If we did understand the holiness part, we become very small. There is no room for me in holiness.
Yep.
And we don't like that. That's very uncomfortable because I matter. No, you really don't.
No.
Like, holiness trumps everything. And, in this capacity, we want to sit back and go, well, we want to be loving to them who hate us, MS-13, right? We want to be loving to them. They would just as soon slit your throat. Well, no, God would protect me from that. Really? Like, let's go back to the righteous indignation of God. Let's go back to the anger that Jesus showed in the temple.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the anger that Jesus showed against the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Let's go back to the fact that we serve a God who does get angry. And I do believe that people that murder and have absolutely no moral consciousness of right and wrong, their code is so corrupted. God talks about he will give them over to a reprobate mind. These are reprobate minds. These people have zero concern or compassion.
Yeah.
What do you think God would do with them? He loves them, but he's holy.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen if the Son of God came down in an MS-13, gang bang, like whatever they're, whatever's going on there.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen there? Do you think that he would be like, loving, or do you think that there would be an instant, like there's an instant battle from pure evil,
Yeah.
satanic evil, and the Son of God?
He can't operate in the same, I don't know how, let me think. I'm not going to say operate in the same system. He can't be with evil.
Right. Well, yes, but it's the other way around. Evil can't be with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because some people will be like, well, God can do whatever he wants. Yeah. What Ben's trying to say,
Yes.
which is absolute fact, is that in the presence of light, darkness flees. Evil has no fellowship with light.
Yep.
And so in this case, I guess what would happen if the Son of God came down in the MS-13, group, they would just run because they couldn't be near him.
Right.
Because what they are possessed by is evil. You cannot do what they do and not have demonic activity in your life.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
God still gave us a gift of being able to think logically about things. It's like if you go to a zoo, you're not going to just jump in the tiger exhibit because God's going to protect me. Watch this. It's
well, unless you're a huge Auburn fan.
That's true.
And then you might,
true,
because they're not quite all there anyway. But yeah, it's true. I mean, there's boundaries. Like the story of the Grand Canyon on the Indian reservation, they didn't have a fence up.
Yeah.
Right? People go right up to the edge of the Grand Canyon. Somebody asks, like, why don't you have a fence? This is dangerous. This is natural selection.
Absolutely, yes.
It's that simple.
Yes.
Like, yeah, if they're stupid enough to go to the edge, they're going to go over. And it's their problem.
Yeah. I was surprised that when we went there, at the I guess lack of boundaries that kept you from that makes it that much cooler though, because
that you can just step off.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I wonder how many people do every year.
Oh
gosh, that made me just think about John Kennedy recently, where he was talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh my gosh,
she's the reason we have warnings on shampoo bottles.
Right.
Gosh, man.
But the people that would walk up to the Grand Canyon and whoopsie daisy, it's why they've got. I had a pastor years ago. I mean, I was in high school probably, and he did a whole sermon about personal responsibility and accountability and all that. And he pulled out the warnings and instructions on a curling iron, and it said stuff don't use in the tub, don't use while showering, don't use in the bed, don't use while sleeping. I mean,
do not handle when hot, don't grab when hot.
Yeah,
Only grab handle when hot. Yeah, I mean, but then there's also how stupid are we that they have to tell us this?
Yeah,
because somebody sued about coffee at McDonald's, right, and won. So now every cup says caution contents.
Imagine the people that have to write those. Are you serious? Now we have to add this one?
Right. And can you imagine the judge that's sitting there going okay, wait. Because, he burned himself on the way to work this morning, right? We've all done it. We all spilled. We've all, okay, you're going to win $1 million. I did this Tuesday and get nothing. But where are we going to go with this whole MS-13? With this Tren de Aragua, all this stuff. And I do believe that what we are seeing is a focused deportation on them, right? However, they're going to go farther underground.
Yeah.
And what we're going to see, instead of the blatant disregard for law enforcement and everything else, I think you're going to see the stuff like the credit card in the gas pump laced with fentanyl. They're not going to own it. They're not going to be a part of it, but they're going to start doing stuff that we would consider terrorist attacks. That's what I think is going to happen. And they're just just another sleeper cell.
Yeah.
And God only knows how many of those we have in the country, but they're going to become that.
Yep.
I think we're going to see attacks on police as well. I think it was the FBI or somebody wasn't FBI. Maybe it was DHS or ICE or whoever.
Oh, they had another trustworthy organization.
Right. They had a leak when they were doing an ICE raid, and that information leaked. They showed up to these places, and there was nobody there.
I heard about
completely
that.
Empty.
Yep.
Well, eventually, those leaks are going to get out to those folks and say, this is where they're coming next. and Tren de Aragua or MS-13, whoever, is going to be there waiting to
Ambush.
cause some, And the media spin on that is saying that Trump is putting our agents in unnecessary harm because of his aggressive deportation or something to that effect. They'll say he's going after it so hard that they're not even using good intel, or that they're putting him in danger. Now we've got dead police officers, dead law enforcement.
There are still moles in, and it may not be the people that he necessarily appointed, but it's the people, it's like the second, third, fourth people that you don't like know about that are under these folks that can leak out information that we just,
No.
It's
You
the
think
deep
there's
state.
dishonest people in Washington?
maybe a little bit,
Adam Schiff
maybe a little. I'm talking about even in
in
like
Trump's own cabinet.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I don't know if I trust Pam Bondi yet.
I know.
Pete Hegseth.
Oh, come on.
I'm kidding.
Pete
I'm
Hegseth.
just
Yeah,
kidding.
love
I
Pete.
was
I
waiting
trust
for
Pete
I
Hegseth.
was just waiting for
I don't.
the chorus to begin.
I don't know,
No,
Pam.
Pete.
I don't know. For me, the jury's still. I don't know.
Where's the list? Where's the list, Ben?
I know.
Where's the list,
Oh, I
Ben?
know.
Oh, speaking of the
Man.
list, this is
I know.
this is good stuff because I
Drives
did.
me nuts.
I think we do want to talk. I know we want to talk about Kennedy and some of the things that he has said recently regarding vaccines and statistics over the past 40 years of what has happened in this country as far as different kind of developmental difficulties that are happening in children. Did you know?
Probably not, but go ahead.
This is fascinating to me that infants and kids, like, they are vaccinating. It is like,
There's a lot of vaccinations.
yeah, buddy. And the mRNA is going in everybody. This is the goal. They are still pushing it, still doing it. They're even like, if you go in for surgery and you have a sheet and they it's called biomedics or something like that. You sign your thing. You just sign off on stuff. You don't read it. You don't understand it.
Yeah.
But it's the legal mumbo jumbo. In there is, are you vaccinated? No. Okay. Do you authorize us to perform bio something on you? And you're because I
don't know what that is.
You don't know what that is,
Sure.
and it's the vaccine.
Okay.
And so patients are signing this stuff at hospitals, going in, coming out, or not,
We're not.
because they're still doing it.
Yeah.
They're still doing it. But let's pull up what Kennedy's got for us. As long as this isn't a video and we have to listen to him. I mean, I can't.
Oh, I probably won't play that one. That's let me play the shorter one. I just realized I pulled up the one that's
It's only
9
minutes
and a
long,
half
so-
minutes.
9.5
I don't
minutes.
think I'll be worried. This is the short one. Let me make sure.
Yeah, because
this
you can't. If it's long, I'm leaving.
This one's a minute 50.
Okay,
So can you handle a minute 50?
Oh yeah. Yes.
I'll give it my best.
Associated with major universities,
Oh dear Lord.
undertook the National Collaborative Perinatal Project, tracking 30,000 children from birth to age 8. This was no half-baked survey-based analysis. The study conducted 9 separate screenings covering neurology, psychology, speech, language, hearing, and visual function. Every developmental quirk, anomaly, and disorder was logged with painstaking detail. Autism, a condition characterized by profound impairments in social communication and behavior, would have stood out like a neon sign. There were 14 cases. That's 4.7 per 10,000. So we know what the historic numbers are, and we know what the numbers are today. And it's time for everybody to stop attributing this to this ideology of epidemic denial. In 2009, the California State Legislature charged the Mind Institute at UC Davis because this myth was already becoming pervasive, the myth of epidemic denial was already becoming pervasive in the mainstream media. the California legislature directed the Mind Institute at UC Davis to answer the question. And Irva Hertz-Pichotto is a highly esteemed, revered scientist, neurology, and epidemiologist, came back with a definitive answer: the epidemic is real.
The epidemic is real.
And this is talking about autism. And the rates that he brought up later on, and this is, he was specifically called out California.
Right.
But he said that 1 in 20 boys have autism. 1 in 12.5 boys in California have autism. And California has the strictest vaccination laws in the country. Make of that what you will. That was the post from Sarah Gonzalez from The Blaze. But the data, look, you know, they were telling us during COVID, follow the science, follow the science, follow the science. Science this is settled, that's settled, and absolutely none of that is true. And the fact that we aren't even allowed to question these things, and that you're a conspiracy theorist if you think that a multi-billion-dollar industry, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars flowing through the pharmaceutical industry, that have proven that they'll test on people. You know, when you talk about we could go back to the government and the pharmaceutical industry and the Tuskegee experiments and what they've done with the military over the years and testing pharmaceuticals and that sort of thing, that all of a sudden they're pure, they are honest, and there's no way that they would ever steer you wrong. They would never point you in the wrong direction. Yeah. And that we can't, we got to question it. Autism is massively on the rise. And you got to find some correlation, and he's pointing out this one. I would I would love for somebody to come out with one that has an equally strong argument on the pro-vaccine side.
So I am one. I'm going to say this is a topic that I honestly have been all over the place about in my mind, and I honestly don't know where I stand with this, because it's kind of personal with us, me and my wife. We have twin boys. One is autistic. The other is not. This is a hard one for me because he was stuck in. I know that when she was pregnant, of course, twins, you automatically go to a high risk doctor, and where he wasn't growing like he should, they were thinking about taking him at like 28 weeks, but both of them at 28 weeks. It was a kind of a touch and go there. But he was stuck. His head was stuck like in the birth canal almost the whole pregnancy. And so, but there was a point where his head, he caught back up, but it grew fast in a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. And that, I know that can also contribute greatly to autism. So I would just, God, I don't know. I'm so all over the place with this. My thinking, I would feel a lot different if my other child also was autistic.
Right.
Because
you guys are a good test
because they both had the same vaccines.
Right.
I'm not one, and we aren't, that are, I mean, they've had the vaccines that kids have up to this point. Can't think of one that we've missed. Mm-hmm. Obviously not COVID.
Right.
But
right.
You know.
Yeah. The normal, what do they even call it? The normal schedule.
Schedule.
The schedule.
Yeah.
They've got the schedule like everybody else's
Yes.
kids. Right.
I'm very skeptical. I'm not saying it's not a part of it, but I'm not in the camp that this is the only factor of autism.
I agree. I see where you're coming from. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. I don't think that, because if this was the only factor, in 2000, 1 in 150 kids had it.
Yeah.
So, okay. And before 2000, there were kids that still had it.
Right.
Right. The vaccination schedule was different, or whatever you want to say, but it's just a thing.
And don't we test for it so much more now?
Yes, we do.
And it's like,
but I think they also label it so much quicker.
They do.
now.
They do. Oh, it's like ADHD, all that. Oh yeah, they label it like.
So it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. Really?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. But it is. So yes, I think the skyrocketing numbers, I do believe, are partially due to advancement in medicine.
Yep.
It's kind of like we had that discussion about earthquakes. In the end times, there's going to be more earthquakes. Are there more earthquakes, or can we just recognize them now? Right.
Yeah.
I do believe there's more, but in this capacity, it does give you pause to go, because it isn't just, in my mind, I look at it and go, this isn't just an uptick. You literally went from 1 in 150 to 1 in 50.
Yeah, it's a big.
This is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
1 in 20.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what it was? 1 in 20
1 in 20
boys?
in boys, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what, back then or now?
Now.
Yes, now.
Yeah.
1 in 20 boys.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is a great graphic. This gives you a scope of what the schedule was and what it is.
Yeah.
And that's 83. I was born in 81.
Yeah.
So obviously I don't have autism. I haven't had to deal with that. I never knew anybody with autism.
Yeah.
Growing up. And
Right.
yet now it's the sheer quantity and how early it is. Hep B is the one that, the kids aren't using intravenous drugs at birth.
And they're not actually sexually active. at
Exactly.
birth. So yeah.
Why are we, I mean,
Yeah.
these are things, it's so much overkill, and it has.
And the influenza schedule is kind of like, okay, wait. The influenza schedule by itself is just kind of like, why? I mean, you start influenza at 1, and every year you're getting one up till you're 18.
You see the mentality though behind this. The reason, I think money is a huge piece of this. Why there's so much of this, it's a huge money maker. But I think the other piece is, just like we saw in COVID, natural immunity versus artificial immunity.
Yeah.
Artificial immunity has become king, and it just with polio, or not with polio, but the measles, right?
Right.
To get MMR. And have you ever watched the old Brady Bunches? There's some that surfaced when they were talking about this whole vaccine talk, that I got the measles. Hey, look who gets to stay home for a couple weeks.
Right.
It was
chicken pox.
It wasn't a
Same.
serious
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, everybody had chicken pox.
Yep.
And yet now that's like, no, it's the kids are just gonna die if you don't get them a measles vaccine.
Right.
When measles wasn't a deadly thing. Like it was, you got it like the chicken pox.
And some people
then it
did
went away.
die from the measles.
But people die from the common cold. People die from just
Right.
about anything, especially now with secondary and tertiary health problems like obesity, diabetes.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. Got to say it right. That there's other contributing factors that really weren't a problem when we were kids.
Right.
We didn't have we had obesity,
Right.
but it wasn't nearly as rampant as it is now.
You calling me fat?
Well, I'm definitely fat.
But I mean, we did. We had obesity.
Judge, buddy.
But this brings us back to this full circle.
Yeah.
We had obesity when we were kids. Nowhere near what it is now. What's changed?
Yeah.
In the past 40 years, what's changed? Oh, our food has changed quite a bit, hasn't it?
And we're sedentary.
And we're incredibly sedentary. Yeah. So, I'm going to eat a box tonight.
I knew.
Are you eating Fruit Loops?
Which one is it?
I'm going to do the Pebbles
You
tonight.
gonna send me a picture of it?
Yeah, I might do Fruity Pebbles tonight. But you better believe I'm going to work that off. You know what I mean? And so when if you're going to eat a box, you got to work it off.
Yeah.
If you sit there, you're just like a trash panda. They just get fatter and fatter because they're eating all the garbage and it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Speaking of trash pandas, I just fixed a gentleman's house.
Yeah.
Maybe he's listening tonight. I don't know. We talked about him listening. I fixed a gentleman's house this week where he was missing the front fascia on his house. And so, he had the roof joists for his roof sticking out of the house and everything, and stuff could get in and out.
Oh yeah.
Well, so we fixed it. I mean, I had a buddy from church come. He helped me out. His name's Oleg. He's a Ukrainian guy. Love him. Great guy. came, I don't like roofs. He doesn't have a problem with heights because he's young and dumb. So I let him on the edge and he's pounding the nails in and all that stuff. We're up on that roof all day for 2 days, fixing fascias, putting up soffits, sealing things up. Well, he's got a beam that needs some help in his attic. So I go up in the attic. Man, I open up the attic. I'm getting up there and I hear a raccoon.
Undoubtedly, it's a raccoon.
So, and I tell him, it's a raccoon. It's not just one. It's a family.
Buddy.
Oh, no.
Oh,
It is a family. And they are trapped because of my handiwork. I
Yeah.
sealed the trash pandas up in that attic. And here's the thing, and I like this guy a lot, but he's not one that's going to be like, just shoot him.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is the right answer. It's definitely the right answer.
I agree.
Don't tussle with a raccoon.
Yeah. Just shoot him or, leave out some antifreeze for him.
Yeah, there you go.
Something that'll just get rid of him quickly. Painfully, maybe. I don't care.
It's a raccoon.
But yeah, so anyway,
did he tell you to undo your work?
I am no.
Okay.
Thank you, Lord, because I was waiting for him to be like, can you go ahead and take that down so they can get out? No, I can't.
Nope,
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. So anyway, trash pandas. Yeah. So if you're going to eat that kind of stuff, be active enough to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. And when our kids are doing this
Yep.
all day long, it's all they do. Buddy.
I think that's why RFK Jr.'s, him coming in guns a-blazing
Yeah.
as he has is so important because, it's not just, I think you're right, it's not just the vaccine schedule. It's not just the vaccines. It's a whole litany of things that we're putting in our bodies that are bad.
Yeah.
But I just want the good science on all of it.
Yeah.
I want there's the studies, the lack of studies on a lot of these vaccines.
Yeah.
I just want to see the work. Like, show us the work.
And I think I completely get where she's coming from. My wife, we were talking about this before I came here. Like, she doesn't like the word. She said, "I'm sorry if I sound like a snowflake," but she said, "I just don't like the wording because it's your kid." And when he was talking, she said he was like, because I haven't listened to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
He said, this has become like a burden for families. She took that as that the kids are the burden. I took it as that and I said, I think, in my opinion, it's the burden is not the kid that he's talking about. The burden is on the parents of how to make the kid's life the best that struggles with this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because you want your kid to succeed as well as they can.
Yeah.
While they have this, I think to me that's the burden.
Yeah. Well, and you got to think the level of autism is different in
Oh,
kids.
gosh, yeah.
Some kids can't stand to be touched and
Yeah.
they're very low functioning and hurt people and
Yeah.
that's a burden.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Oh yeah.
It's
I mean,
hard.
ours is high functioning, and I like, and we have our own struggles with it, but like, I can't imagine. Like,
Right.
it could be so much worse.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean,
So I
Have
mean,
you heard of the telepathy of
what?
Yes, I kid you not. There's studies being done about autistic kids showing telepathy and able to, like, they're communicating. They are showing responses, and a lot of them are the lower functioning, but they're like very, very mentally active in one particular area or whatever.
Oh, they're very smart in one area.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so they were talking about being able to measure and see telepathy amongst autistic kids.
yeah, I haven't seen that at all, man.
Yeah.
I haven't
What
either.
in the world?
well, there's they've unlocked areas of their brain that
Oh yeah.
so it's like, I mean, I can see it. There was a video I saw of a guy he was an autistic interviewer, like maybe you guys saw this, where he went to prison and was interviewing an inmate, and he's autistic, and he was asking the inmate about, like, what it's like, and he's like, oh, the schedule's really rigorous here. And the autistic guy was like,
Oh yeah.
did you see this? Yes. And we stack crates all day. He's like, you stack crates.
I'm going to see if
How
I
can-
can find
how
that
can I
video.
come
It
here?
is Absolutely hilarious.
I got the biggest kick out of
That's
it.
hilarious. I have not seen that. That's really funny.
But I mean, and here's the other thing. Like, think about this. This was all brought to light, really, by Rain Man. Do you remember that movie,
dude,
Rain Man?
Absolutely.
Where it's like, 186 or whatever. It's like,
he could read if the book was open. He could read both pages at the same time.
Right.
I'm like, what?
and so you sit back and go, there is a cognitive ability
Yeah. Oh yeah.
in a lot of them, and then in some of them, there isn't.
Right.
But you don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? Like we appear to be high functioning. But, who knows what that really looks like, right? So, but yeah, it is one of those things that I sit back and go, our diet has changed so much.
Oh, yeah.
You can go ahead and base this study off of the schedule, or you can base this study off of Kellogg's. Either way you go, red dye is just as, like, we have gotten so far from the origin. And
Yeah.
I wonder how much we have inflicted on ourselves
Yeah.
with all the genetic modifications and all the things. I mean, wow, we didn't even have this on the topic for tonight, but let's go ahead and get some direwolf puppies.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that was.
Yes.
I didn't know that was a thing.
No, I didn't. I had to look up what the heck that was.
So,
Is it from Game of Thrones? Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you consider this, where it's like, we're going to go ahead and what do they call it? It's not re-extinct. It's
like the first animal that has. Was it the first animal that has been unextinct?
yes, they are reviving it.
What does that even mean?
Right. It was gone.
Yeah. How
They're
do you
bringing it back. They're going to do a woolly mammoth next. Oh, that'll go over well.
They're already working on the.
I know they are. That's going to go over really well. Go ahead and
I'm gonna tell you what. If I see a woolly mammoth out,
yeah, it's on.
trophy room, buddy.
Absolutely.
They say so. By their numbers, 10,000 years was the last time a dire wolf walked the face of the earth.
10,000 years ago.
Can you imagine the tusks of a woolly mammoth?
Yeah.
over your fireplace.
That would be.
Oh,
Or the head of a
Man,
dire wolf over there would be great.
That'd be
I will tell you, I might have to do some poaching if those things come back.
Right? And think about the amount of clothing you could make.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause, I mean, say what you want. You see movies like Craven where they got the leather vests on that are,
Yeah.
I haven't
You're
seen
like-
it. No spoilers.
no spoilers. He dies. Fantastic.
There you go.
Fantastic a woolly mammoth coat.
Dude.
You want to talk about
Those are one of the
legit.
most fascinating. I love how we just like on this thing, we just like, just veer off topic.
Yeah, right.
But well, those are some of the most like amazing animals that I've ever seen, like in books and like the History Channel, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
unreal that those things.
There's so many things that walk the face of the earth.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, what in the blue?
I just want to
blazes?
know how Queen Latifah existed back then, because I saw Ice Age. She's not that old. But I also Ray Romano. But I do want to say this. So they are able to reintroduce extinct species by
Yep.
messing with the DNA.
Well, it's finding the DNA and mixing it with current DNA, and they say that whatever they're making is going to be better than the old version.
Oh, the one that God created and then destroyed
Yeah.
for a reason.
I don't like any of this mess. When they start
Heck
playing
no.
with genes,
You know who else played-
Look, they were, for whatever reason, you could say that it was whatever. They can make up whatever reason they want for why that animal went extinct in the first place. It wasn't strong enough to survive. It is no longer here. You know what I'm saying? Like, why bring it back?
Yeah.
Well, and what does that do to evolution?
Yeah.
I mean, what 500 years from now, well, we'll all be gone and everything. We get that. But to the earth is billions of years old people.
Mm-hmm.
So 500 years from now, you're going to look back on this and be like, oh, they were woolly mammoths. And then they left. And then they came back. They evolved, died out.
A long
and then
hibernation.
And then
That is
evolved
super.
again
Yeah.
into a better woolly mammoth. Yeah, it just makes no sense. It's
Well, they say, the guy that's, what's it, not Colossus. What's the name of the program? Dadgummit. It's one particular program. And he said, oh, it's going to be good for the environment. And it's going to be, they're a net positive because they're of what they consume and this, that, and the other. That's silly. Look, I watched Jurassic Park. I don't want any of these thinking.
Wait till you bring back a saber-toothed tiger. They don't listen.
Yeah.
Ah,
A dire wolf. I mean, you don't know how that thing is going to,
No.
how it hunts, how it's going to react to people or whatever. I mean, it's just,
We're gonna come in one day, and he is gonna be polishing the tusks of a woolly mammoth. Oh, hey guys, hey, how's it going?
Look what I got.
Look at this sucker right here.
Yeah.
population control, guys.
It's called de-extinction. This is what they're doing.
De-extinction,
De-extinction.
okay.
Right.
And I want to say, because this could be our very next. This could be a great segue. It really could be.
Oh yeah.
I'll try to butcher it as best I can, but it could be a great segue. The messing with the DNA and the structure of DNA, right? That is a practice as old as time. So we don't think about it this way, but we know that in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, right? He created man in his image. You go to Genesis chapter 6, and there's an account that blows everybody's mind, and pastors don't want to talk about it because it's, when the sons of God laid with the daughters of man. And this is where we get this offspring that is half angelic, half human. Well, this offspring brought with them knowledge and wisdom, heavenly, angelic knowledge and wisdom. So, and I don't know what people believe, but if you believe in God, then you know that he's very smart and probably surrounds himself with smart beings. One of the things that they did was they created a hybrid race. That hybrid race wasn't just in humanity. And you know that because there's quite a few ancient people groups from all over the world that believe in flying horses, for example.
Oh yeah.
Where did we get flying horses from? Well, that wasn't really a thing. Pegasus? That's ridiculous.
I mean, they painted these things on walls. Did they just make these up?
So if humanity was a hybrid,
Yeah.
and the hybridization of humanity, this group also was able to make hybrids in the animal kingdom, which is exactly what we are doing today. This is not a dire wolf. This is kind of a dire wolf, but they use
Part dire wolf, part gray wolf, I think.
yeah.
Or American wolf or whatever it is.
So they're crossbreeding in a sense, but they're using the original strands of DNA from the dire wolf to create this anomaly, if you will, that's extinct.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, and I believe I'm going to say this. I believe it's demonic.
I was gonna say changing the DNA or changing the bloodline of things has been in the devil's playbook since the Garden of Eden.
Correct.
So,
And if you want to simplify the gospel,
yeah.
I mean, because this is what, the book of Genesis, I love this concept. The book of Genesis is the gospel of Jesus in the Old Testament.
Oh, yeah.
And you get beginning to end. Book of Genesis covers the scope of the Bible, really, if you dive into it. It's amazing. But this concept of prima nocta, if Satan can't stop Jesus, he's going to breed him out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where he found Noah pure. He didn't find him holy and righteous. He found him pure. His bloodline was untainted. Where the rest of the world had mingled and intermingled with this seed of Satan, basically, which is where we get giants from. Now, there's a pastor in Mexico that's been doing some missions work down there. And I sent this video to you guys. I don't know if you've got it to pull up.
I do.
But it's twofold. The first video that he sent and posted was about a giant that him and his son saw standing next to a tree, and it looked like a tree, but it was moving like it wasn't a tree. It was a giant.
I don't know if that's this one or not.
It's not this one. This one is the fallen star angels want to sacrifice. This is a little bit out there, but I want you to listen to this guy because this is starting to happen, and there's stories coming out about people seeing these things at a rapid pace, like it's like never before pace. I mean, we saw Bigfoot. You know, the Bigfoot stuff has always been. People aren't using the term Bigfoot anymore.
Yeah.
You're starting to see more and more of this. I saw what looked like a giant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So let's listen to this pastor and what he's got to say.
Redonkulous things, right?
Redonkulous.
So we go down to Chiapas, Mexico. We're rescuing kids down there. I mentioned that one that portaled through Zoom from Chiapas, right? So there's all kinds of next level demonic witchcraft, next level witchcraft down there. So things that manifest, you go, whoa, what is that? I never even heard of like a hybrid spider type person, and that's why all these kids say, you know, man, she looks like a spider. She has many arms. Well, of course, if you go into India, you know, you got all kinds of gods and deities that have multiple arms. The largest Mayan pyramid on the planet Earth is in Chiapas. We are rescuing children in the shadow of that thing. You can literally see the pyramid from my ranch.
Wow, from your ranch?
Yeah, we have a redemption ranch there.
Wow.
And so, and again, we bought turf. We bought physical dirt. We brought in a ministry that's been there for 9 generations. We turned the whole thing over there so that we would have authority within that region. Okay? You don't just come in there swinging the American flag. You come in there in the authority of the kingdom, and you need to know how to operate in authority. So with all that said, we did all this. And at our hotel, there's this big giant rock that has a giant footprint in it. And it's monstrous. I went down there with Brian Schwartz. He's an NFL football player. He wears a size 17 shoe, okay? This thing was twice the size of his shoe. I hear that you guys got giants down here. And they're like, yeah, we do. I'm like, okay, well, would they come up out of the ground? Or they get there? Like, yeah, they live in the ground. And they're like, but that's not as scary as the ones that come out of the sky. And I'm like, the ones that come out of the sky, and they said yes, and they come down and they look like stars and constellations, and they manifest into what look like people, and they threaten us if we don't give them things.
Wow.
So it's like, I know that there's a species of angels that's called the host of heaven. The host of heaven is the constellations. So you can see that whenever Jesus was born, that the shepherds are out in the field, the angels came down as the hosts of heaven. Well, they were used to seeing those constellations every single night, you know, and they were used to seeing Virgo, the virgin, a clump of stars that is a virgin that has a seed in her, which is impossible. And then from there, Libra, he's going to be a redeemer. From there, Scorpio, he's going to take on death. From there,
You said pause it?
Yeah, because what he's touching on is actually really, really deep. He's getting into the
Yeah, it's pretty deep stuff.
he's going to get into the weeds on the constellations, the study of constellations, and everything, which is I believe this.
Yeah.
The heavens declare, right?
Yeah.
And so when you look at the heavens, it's going to tell you the story of the gospel, which it does. It's just amazing how God.
Yeah. You sent a whole video of that a couple of years ago, and I watched it. And I
how
was like,
God has orchestrated everything. But I wanted to touch on this because I think this is important. We don't see it here in our non-spiritualized climate, and we, you know, as believers in Christ, church people, everything else, we have it so incredibly easy. We don't see the persecution, and we definitely don't see the works of darkness in the enemy like they see, because, you know, I was laying in bed last night with my son, and we were talking about reality versus spirituality, and how, like, you know, we can touch each other, we're tangible, and we're very tiny compared to what's going on in the heavenlies. And we lose sight of that. We lose sight of that constantly, that we've got these blinders on, like this is our reality. No, this is actually temporal. This isn't reality. Right. Reality is going on around us. Yeah. But we can't see it. And so I was really fascinated and taken by this, and you'll hear more and more stories about this, but in third world countries, in areas like this where men and women are doing the work of the kingdom in a direct conflict with witchcraft, demonic activity, things that we in the church, Satan is so good. It's all here, but he knows that if it was here and very active and we could see it all, then it would cause the church to rise up against it, right? So we're not going to show off ourselves as much. We're going to be very quiet and call the people that see this and say this stuff are wacko Christians, right? He's crazy. He's over there trying to cast demons out of water fountains. You know, he's insane, right? What if I told you that maybe there was a demon in the water fountain? He's not the crazy one. We're the crazy ones for thinking our scope of the gospel and our scope of spirituality isn't big enough, if that makes sense. Where these people, everything is spiritual. Their livelihood, everything is spiritual. Everything that they're going through, they see from a spiritual lens. And the result of that is, and I'm reminded of children, little kids. I think little kids see in the kingdom more than we do, by far. We had this discussion about your son standing there in the kitchen, right? Looking like what is, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and I do believe kids see things in the spirit because they just came from the spirit, where we forget.
Well, and they haven't been corrupted yet. They've
They haven't been corrupted yet.
Right, yeah, they're closer because they haven't had an opportunity to be fallen long enough.
Right, and so when he talks about like these giants coming up out of the ground, and what I love is his answer is the people. It's almost like the people are like, oh yeah, they come out of the ground. Like the people are like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Let's go back to scripture. It wasn't spoken of a ton because it was a what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Everybody knew the giants existed. Everybody knew these men of renown existed. It wasn't something that was so shock and awe. It was, oh yeah, we had to kick them out of Canaan. Oh yeah, those guys, and I watched David and Goliath on Prime. Phenomenal series that they've started, The House of David. And it was, they got a handprint of a giant on the wall, and Jonathan says to Saul, he's kind of like they're back, like shocking. But I think about it, and it's like probably not that shocking.
Yeah,
it's probably not actually that shocking. They were everywhere, complete people groups that they had to get rid of. And not only do we see it in the Bible, in the biblical narrative, we see it in the Cherokee history, we see it in Norse history, we see it in Greek mythology. All of these things line up. These gods, these mythical creatures, everything point to a group of people or entities that were here and I believe still are here. They just changed skin, if that makes sense. Like Moloch, the god, right, has always been there. And he's still active today. And we can see that, Christians in America especially look at abortion as sacrificing children to Moloch, right? He's still here. He's still here. They're all still here. I just wonder, first of all, if you're listening, if you've heard of any of these encounters or any of these things, maybe you're in ministry and you've been on a trip where you've encountered some of this activity. I would love to hear it. I would love to hear more and more about this kind of stuff.
Yep.
Where yes, the supernatural happens. I totally believe that. I mean, I've had my own experiences with the supernatural, and I know it exists. I know it's real. But in particular, what is the Nephilim activity, the giant activity that we're seeing happening as the last days approach? Because here's the thing. In the last days, they're going to be released on the earth again for judgment. And that's scary. That should scare the socks off of people. If you don't believe in Jesus, start.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be here for that mess. Anyway, if there's any comments, I know it's a crazy concept. If you're not a follower of Christ, do giants exist? Are they still here? My answer is yes and yes. I believe they're still here. I believe they're in another realm and they can manifest. I don't think that's always going to be the case. I think they're going to be in our realm. They're going to be very real, just like Goliath was. And it's going to be very problematic for humanity. And I think Hillary Clinton's one of them. So she's just a midget giant. Or a dwarf, sorry. Or a little person giant. Sorry, I can't get the politically correct version of this.
We went all show.
All show without offending. And here we are. So, yeah. Just like they're what was the word? Come on.
Hold on.
De-extinction.
De-extincting the dire wolf.
Yes.
And the woolly mammoth. I think this whole thing feeds into the the Gilgamesh narrative. When they found the body of Gilgamesh, they believe, and then Hillary Clinton wants it. They all want this. They invade Iraq and go right to the museum. First thing, they find the body. Why? What are they trying to do with the DNA? What is happening that we're not getting?
There's so many things happening that we just don't, that the average person just doesn't see.
Right.
I mean,
but all of it though points to a redeemer, right? All of it points to Jesus. All of it, man, points to the battle between good and evil.
that's it. There's the battle. That's it.
Yep.
Yep.
And thank God we are about to celebrate the resurrection, which is the confirmation, the proverbial nail in the coffin, if you will.
Yep.
Shutting the door on the face of evil altogether, the resurrection of Jesus. I love what Trump,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah.
what he said.
What was the where was it? I had that X post that he had made. Y'all sent it to me, didn't you?
Yes,
Yes.
it's in the thread.
Oh, I'll have to find it in the thread.
Yeah, the thread is long.
We send so many texts back and forth.
We do.
I've admittedly been delinquent for the past few weeks,
Yep.
but I have been reading it. Let's see. Here it is.
There it is.
I knew I would be able to find it eventually. There we go. Pull it up for the world to see.
This was a Trump tweet.
So everybody can read. You want me to read it?
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it.
This Holy Week, Christians around the world remember the crucifixion of God's only begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And on Easter Sunday, we celebrate his glorious resurrection and proclaim, as Christians have done for nearly 2,000 years, he is risen. Through the pain and sacrifice of Jesus on the cross, we saw God's boundless love and devotion to all humanity. And in that moment of his resurrection, history was forever changed with the promise of everlasting life. As we approach this joyous Easter Sunday, I want to wish Christians everywhere a happy and very blessed holiday. America is a nation of believers. We need God. We want God. And with his help, we will make our nation stronger, safer, greater, and more prosperous, and more united than ever before. Thank you and happy Easter. What a great message.
That was not seen in his first term.
No, it was not.
Not a message like that.
Nope.
This, I mean, there's just so much in there that is different. So much.
It almost makes you sit back and go, what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, what happened? When was this when he was shot?
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
I mean, that's,
Yeah, this is huge.
there's a lot there. There's a lot there.
There is a lot there. And the fact that you've got a president saying God's only begotten Son,
I was
Lord
gonna
and
say,
Savior,
our.
Jesus Christ.
Not the Christian people's Lord, not that.
Right.
Our.
He is risen
Ownership.
in all caps.
Oh my
baby.
goodness. Yeah, man. That's a lot different.
That is a lot different. And, Trump's my president. Jesus is my Savior.
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but I thought that was a fantastic statement. I do want to just touch on more united than ever before. Not with a message like that, Trump. You're not going to be more united than ever before. You are. Jesus didn't come to send peace, but a sword. We got to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to be problematic anytime you stand up for the name of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
We were a Christian nation.
Yeah.
However, we've got clip after clip, which we'll touch on next week, about the influx of Muslims and how we are a Christian nation, but we are very much in a spiritual battle.
Oh yeah.
They can't stand that statement coming out of a president.
People that say that Jesus was not offensive.
Very,
Oh,
right?
that couldn't be further from the truth.
I mean, it's part of it.
It's part of it.
It's just part of it. Because you're going against the norm. You're going
Yes.
against
Exactly right.
against comfort and self
Yep.
and
You're going against the world.
you're
That's right. You're going
selfish
against the world.
satisfaction and all of these things. You go against that, which is a very pleasurable way to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to say, "Don't you dare take that away from me,"
Right.
because I'm not accountable to anybody except myself right now.
That's right. It's all about me. It's all
It's
about
all about me. Like,
this is our culture.
Yep.
Anyway, hey, as we get into the Easter week, and we're going to wrap up because it's 10:35. We all have children in bed. So just want to say I love you guys. I'm glad you're in my life.
Yep.
We serve a risen Savior, and it is so fascinating that, when you think about what happens just this week with Jesus and, you know, the Last Supper, the whole concept of his wounds for our healing, the whole concept of what we see on the Passion of the Christ is like the PG version
Oh yeah.
of what actually happened. It was so much worse that we can't even fathom this. We can't fathom this. You know, the fact that I think it was Isaiah talked about crucifixion, and maybe it wasn't Isaiah, but they talked about crucifixion before crucifixion was invented. That Jesus would be crucified. Like, what's that? Imagine reading that. Like, what is that? Let me look it up on my Google tablet. You know, my literal tablet. Let's pull out the Google scroll.
One of these days you're gonna make you sing lighter.
Right?
Yeah.
But the pain, the agony, the just all the things that he went through. And the Bible says that he chose this for the joy that was set before him. And I'm so blessed and so grateful that the joy that was set before him was me, was you, that we are so blessed that God called us by names and as sons of God, like we're forever kept, we're his. And it just blows my mind that a man, because he was fully man, would choose me. And
and endure all that. I mean, you know.
Yeah. And he had to, because we serve a God that's holy and just, right? And there's no way that we could ever do this with his holiness. There's no way that we could do this. So Jesus had to make that way. And so, friends, if you are listening tonight and you are not a follower of Christ, I just want to challenge you. Obviously, you're a smart person. You listen to Jared's work, his shows, and
Right.
So you are informed, you're intelligent. I want to encourage you to do your research. Do your homework. If you don't know Christ, why don't you go ahead and just look up, for example, all the prophecies Jesus fulfilled about him that were written thousands of years, hundreds of years before he ever existed. Like I just said, the word crucifixion wasn't a thing, but it was spoken of that's what would happen. And lo and behold, he hung on a cross for you. If you don't know Christ, we want to challenge you. Do your homework. Find somebody who does know him and ask questions. And their answer might be, I don't know. Let's go find out. But that's okay. You know, they might not know all the answers, but
You can send us a message.
go find out. Yeah, and absolutely, you can send us a message at thebraverthantheRest@gmail.com, or go ahead and leave comments. And please like and share us.
Yes.
Especially this Easter. Nothing's better than getting the Easter egg of Braver Than the Rest under your Kwanzaa tree.
That's exactly right.
Right?
Yes.
Yes? I don't know.
I don't know. Is that a thing?
It's not.
I don't
Well,
know.
neither is an Easter
I don't know
egg,
anything.
right? It's not a thing either.
I'm gonna put-
Bunnies don't lay eggs.
That's
It's like this whole thing is just so. Anyway, till next week, we love you. Keep your eyes to the skies. Our King is returning, and I believe, gosh, I mean, I might not get through this box of cereal tonight.
Oh, well,
It might happen that fast.
he might wait till you get through the box.
He might. He might be like, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Why don't you polish that off? Add some milk to that. It's a little dry.
Oh, goodness.
Till next week, braver than the rest.